Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. We are about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Now, a lot of the talk for today is the heat and the smoke. That smoke is coming from the flat fire, and there's a series of heat and fire related weather alerts as well as smoke alerts across the Tri-County area. But let's start off with this flat fire. And across the Tri-County area, we have tons of sunshine, very little cloud cover, but a whole lot of smoke. This smoke is impacting our air quality, and we're going to get to that here through the next several minutes. But there are several cameras that are actually focused in on the flat fire, and each one of them paints a different picture. They all show a whole lot of smoke being put into the air, and the Klein Buttes camera as well as the Grizzly Mountain camera actually show where that temperature inversion is, and some of the smoke plume has been coming through that temperature inversion, which just means there's a lot of vertical development with this. Meanwhile, the Hinkle Butte camera, we have been continuing to watch this one really closely, and at times you can see the flames right on that line of where that smoke is getting closer to the Hinkle Butte. And here through the last couple of hours, we've seen some shifts in the wind, but it has been breezy, even gusty at times. So we're going to do two things. We will be looking at evacuation zones, but we're going to start with the fire footprint, where the fire is, where it's been developing, which direction it's been going, and some of the terrain that's coming into play with this, because winds here in the last couple of hours has been out of the northeast. They've been gusty at times, and where you see that red line, that's the fire footprint. That's a perimeter, and the last time it was updated was earlier today. What we've been noticing is that this fire continues to grow further to the south. And all of those little flames are different hot spots, and they're derived from satellite imagery. And there are two different products on the map at the moment, Veers and Modus, and each one shows a little bit different. They come in different intervals, and they have different densities as well, where you have some flames a lot closer to others. But the most southern one is just 1 mile from the Deschutes-Jefferson County line, and a lot of this has been happening to the west of the Deschutes River and the Whychus Creek. Now that's important because that goes to play with where we were seeing different evacuation notice changes. But another thing to notice is that this fire is still mostly on the western side of the Whychus Creek. So it hasn't crossed over the Deschutes River, and it's still pretty far from the Crooked River. But keep in mind, the Alder Springs fire earlier this season burned through this area. So we are going a little bit over the burn scar of the Alder Springs fire, and that is something that we're keeping in mind as we go forward. But again, the most southern hotspot is just 1 mile from the Deschutes County line, and it takes a while for these hotspots to catch up with it, and the fire is moving quicker than the satellite is being able to keep up with it. It just helps paint a good picture of what's been happening. And fire evacuation zones have been changing through this entire event ever since 24 hours ago or 27 hours ago when we first got notified of it. We've seen a whole lot of level 3 go now evacuations that have been issued. And just for reference, the Hinkle Butte camera sits right in here, just outside of the most southern level 3 go now evacuation zones, and it's looking out to the north and the northwest where that fire line was just a mile away from the Deschutes County line, and we could even have it cross over. I just haven't seen any reports of that happening just yet. So let's go ahead and look at some of these evacuation zones, and keep in mind the Whychus Creek is an important divide right now because all hot spots show west of the Whychus Creek, and so that means this entire zone right here that includes Geneva, which was impacted last night by this flat fire. That's where most of the fire is burning right now. Just on the other side of the Whychus Creek, just east of the creek itself, there's a level 2 be ready or be set evacuation, and in Crooked River Ranch, on the west side of the Crooked River, there's a series of level 2 be set and level 1 be ready evacuations as well, and that includes area such as Southwest Peninsula Drive and even getting into Panorama Circle, where we have some of those evacuation zones. And just to get a little closer, because this is where actual communities are, if you're on Geneva View Loop, South Camp Trail, it looks like, Meadow Drive, Water Hole Place, it looks like, and a few other spots a little further to the north off of Southwest Peninsula Drive. You are in a level 2 B set evacuation. It's panorama circle in those areas right there that are in the level 1 be ready evacuation zone. Now when it comes to the level 3s, it's mostly at this point National Forest Development roads, but it also includes Southwest Grandview Loop, Squaw Flat Road, and it looks like there's a couple Squaw Flat roads here. Some of them are just Southwest and others aren't. Now this long line of just on the eastern banks of the Waichus Creek, National Forest Development Road 6360 for Jeeps is within that level 2 B set evacuation, but the level 3s actually come down into Deschutes County. So let's go to that. Now it's not quite down into the Greater Sisters area, but remember the camera that we were just looking at, the Hinkle Butte camera, is right about here just outside of Buffalo Drive, where that's coming a lot closer from the fire. Now Goodrich Road is going up, but just not quite into the level 3 go now evacuations. But just to look at a couple of more of these communities that are being impacted by it, remember the most southern hotspots are just a mile away from the Deschutes County line. So if you're in any of these areas that are red, you do have a level 3 go now evacuation. Now this is still pretty far from Sisters and Cloverdale, but like last night, this fire blew up 3,300 acres in just a couple of hours and overnight. And so as of right now, we do still have this fire set at 3,386 acres, but all these evacuation zones continue to change. Why? The fire's burning fast, and that's because it's extremely dry. Our relative humidity, remember relative humidity is the amount of moisture in the air relative to the temperature and the dew point. So the dew point is always low, most of the time lower than the temperature. We're at 12 to 15%, 25% on the pine, so it's extremely dry out there. Add in these dry conditions to strong winds, and it's still going to be breezy, even gusty at times during the next couple of hours, and that means fire spread will be rapid. And winds really don't start to taper off until well after sunset, getting into the 9 to 10 o'clock hour. That's when they're at 5 to 15 miles per hour and continuing to taper after that. A lot of the calming happens around and after midnight for tonight. Now, when it comes to tomorrow, it's still going to be breezy at times, just not as strong of winds from what we've been seeing today. And we're actually going to back up and look at that one more time, because what I wanted to point out was that winds are mostly coming out of the northeast right now. They will swing around to the north, then the northwest, then the southwest, and the south. And that's going to push a lot of the smoke that's been piling up in the Cascades right into our neck of the woods. So when we go ahead and look at the air quality map, now this is a blend of DEQ, Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, has the hourly average. eSpace has the real-time sensors on here, and there are some discrepancies in there, but just know that we've had poor air quality, unhealthy air quality around Sisters, Black Butte Ranch, Camp Sherman, and Cloverdale for the last couple of hours. Now some of this smoke is starting to come down the east slopes of the Cascades and into the rest of the 97 corridor, and taking it a step further and looking at some of the eSpace, not the eSpace, but the purple air sensors, we can see that through the Deschutes National Forest, where there are sensors sporadically located, those are all unhealthy or worse. In Sisters, it's not as bad as it was, so you probably have a good, clear line of sight to that flat fire, which is getting dangerously close to the Deschutes County line. It looks like there was even an update from when we last had it, and it's getting a lot closer. And so that is coming in. Right about here's where the Hinkle Butte camera is, and looking towards Redmond, Bend, even Prineville, good air quality, but starting to come down the east slopes of the Cascades, that smoke is descending into the lower elevations, and we have unhealthy for sensitive groups all the way to unhealthy air quality. Now, quick look at a smoke forecast model. This is going to show us where that plume has been and where it's going to go as winds swing around to the south and start to taper off later on tonight. And it really helps to paint a picture of what our air quality is going to be going forward. And so winds have been coming out of the northeast. Most of that smoke is stacked up through the Cascades and the east slopes. Later tonight, that spreads out. Now, it doesn't look as dense, but remember, high pressure is still pushing down in the atmosphere, and that's going to compact the atmosphere even more, pushing most of the smoke from the vertical column straight down to the surface, which means poor air quality is expected for many of us by tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, it flares up again. We see more spread, we get more smoke, and this stays with us all the way through Sunday. And because of this smoke, the DEQ has issued an air quality alert until 9 p.m. on Monday. Smoke from the flat fire will be impacting all of the Tri-County area, and we're looking at times of just poor air quality, which means unhealthy or worse, but we could even get to very unhealthy or hazardous air quality, and they've expanded that all the way across the Cascades through Oak Ridge, Dexter, Eugene, getting up through Junction City. So we are looking at this smoke spreading outside of the Tri-County area, but for us, we have this air quality alert until 9 p.m. That should say 9 p.m. on Monday, not 5 p.m. on Monday. But on top of that, there is also a heat advisory and a red flag warning. But let's talk about other conditions outside of this fire. And we still have high pressure. There is some cloud cover in south central Oregon starting to roll this way. That starts to impact us tonight. A little plume of moisture, not much in the way of precipitation until we get closer to Sunday and Monday. Even at that, it's just a chance of showers. So that means all this activity out over the Pacific Ocean, that's going to stay either out over the Pacific or move into Canada. And this high pressure is slowly going to fade. As it fades, we are going to start to see some changes. A few other views of this show a little bit of pressure in there. Those isobars, where those are tightly packed together, it is breezy, but there's still a very dry slot of air right over central Oregon. This huge dry air mass is keeping us from any cloud development, any precipitation, and even as some of these clouds start to roll into the high desert this evening and tonight, it's still going to be dry. If showers start to develop, it's going to evaporate before it hits the surface. So, as of right now, the last hour or so, it's still been breezy through the Tri-County area. These winds taper, more clouds roll in, we stay dry. All the way through Saturday, it's going to be hot and dry, but that smoke is going to help a little bit when it comes to temperatures. Either way, we're still looking at a summertime stretch of 90s with a few triple digits and 80s. By Sunday afternoon, still hot, a chance of showers starts to develop. Watch close to the east slopes of the Cascades. Where's my mouse? There it is. Right here. These cells right here could be capable of producing some thunderstorm activity, and some of that works its way into the high desert. That's just going to be later on in the evening. Meanwhile, in the last 24 hours, temperatures topped out in the 90s with some 80s, so we didn't quite get to the triple digits, and that's due primarily to the massive amounts of smoke that we've had pumped into our lower atmosphere today. Meanwhile, temperatures are sitting currently in the 90s and 80s across our Tri-County area. Temperatures have jumped up between 2 and 7 degrees, so warmer than it was 24 hours ago. And when it comes to our temperature trend, we're dipping into the 50s and some 60s tonight. Tomorrow we heat right back up, well into the 90s, and our UV intensity forecast is going to be very high. Some clouds are expected, but that's not going to help cut those rays too much. It stays very high into Sunday, but by Monday and Tuesday, we get a little shift in the weather pattern, a little bit of a dip in temperatures, more clouds, some showers. That helps out a lot with the UV intensity. So Saturday, a hot summer weekend. Saturday, it will be hotter, 90s, few triple digits, some 80s, a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover. By Sunday, still looking at mostly 90s, but there's a chance of some of those showers. There's also a chance of some thunderstorm development, and we'll track any thunderstorms that develop. By Monday, we keep that rain chance, highs still in the 90s, some 80s expected. So one more recap, we have a series of heat fire and smoke-related weather alerts across the entire state. The hotter temperatures are going to be through the valley and to our north. Now, when it comes to the temperature trend, notice that we're gradually cooling through next week. There's that chance of showers Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Those help with the temperature, but not a lot. We're still well above the average high of 85. It still feels like August. We are in summer. It's going to be hot and it's going to be smoky, and that's where we're sitting. Our forecast model does have that high pressure still over the Pacific Northwest. It starts to move north as clouds roll in. So this cloud cover, this plume of moisture is displacing our high pressure, and we have a low chance of showers, maybe some thunderstorms Sunday. By Monday, keep that low chance of showers, just not spreading too far, so not everybody getting wet. By Tuesday, we're back to more dry conditions across the high desert. Our extended forecast model, the long range one, actually shows where we're keeping that low chance of rain Tuesday and Wednesday. It's just going to be very hit and miss where we actually get any precipitation at all, most of it over south central and eastern Oregon. By Thursday, more sunshine. By Friday, more sunshine with some clouds rolling in late. So between now and Sunday at 11 p.m., some showers are indeed expected. And for parts of the Tri-County area through Monday, we are going to get wet, but just a lot of that is going to be sprinkles if it happens at all. Now, winds are gusty here through this evening. We're looking at gusts between 15 and 25 miles per hour, mostly coming out of the northeast. Actual wind speeds are more like 5 to 15 miles per hour, and the winds trend graphic shows that we're starting to see some of those winds beginning to taper off here in the next couple of hours. By tomorrow, breezy at times. By Sunday, not too strong of winds expected. So for tonight, you can expect 50s, some 60s, smoky conditions, and poor air quality. By Saturday, 90s for most, a few triple digits and 80s expected, and more clouds are in the forecast. Here's your 7-day planner. We'll go through it pretty quickly. We're staying in the 90s through Wednesday. By Thursday and Friday, back into the 80s, more seasonable. But either way, this summertime heat is just sticking around. There's a chance for showers and thunderstorms Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, although we're not looking at scattered or widespread rain. It's more going to be isolated through the high desert. So here's a look at your weather headlines for this Friday, August the 22nd. Our heat wave peaks Saturday and Sunday, typical summertime movement. Smoke, clouds, and very dry conditions are expected. There's a very low chance of any precipitation, but if any showers pop up, we'll be tracking them for thunderstorm development, and there's an air quality alert until Monday at 9 p.m. And so when we just go ahead and recap real quick, we're still tracking the development of the fire, the flat fire, and it does continue to grow. As it continues to grow, it's getting closer to the Jefferson County, Deschutes County line. And right now, the closest hotspot is just about a mile from it. And we have evacuation zones through Jefferson and Deschutes County, even coming in to the Greater Sisters and Cloverdale area. Not quite into Sisters yet, but remember, that hotspot, the most southern one, is still in Jefferson County. We're going to continue to track this, and we'll have more for you later on this evening. But for that now, that's it. We will see you later on at 8 o'clock or after the game on it's after the college game, the one that is preempting one of our channels. And the fire is getting closer, and we'll also be here at 11 o'clock. So that's it for now. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and news and your most reliable forecast. See you then.